We're live. Yay. Yay. Technical issues, right? Hey everyone, it's Ann Carden here, the host of The Strategic Edge, and today I am super excited to have my guest on, Steve Sapato. He is a brilliant motivational speaker. Yeah. He is a brilliant motivational speaker, and he has been on stages and speaking professionally as a paid speaker for many, many years. So I'm excited to have him on because he's also a funny guy. So you are going to really enjoy having him. He's going to be dropping some value to you, and his whole philosophy is stop boring speakers. And so, Steve, you're going to have to help me. I don't want to be one of those people. So let's just have some fun. Hold on. I'm going to see if this is actually showing up. I don't know if this is showing up live.
And we'll have to broadcast it. That's all.
We're just gonna do what we can do. Sorry, my nose is itching there. So, all right.
Pretend you're Samantha, right? Samantha from Bewitched. Just you got to wiggle it yourself.
Do I look anything like her? I don't know.
Well, you're a beautiful woman. That's all that counts.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Okay, you don't live closer to me. I know that.
All right, so we are going to jump in. So I'm going to just let Steve introduce himself, because I have to tell you, I won't be able to do it justice like he can. So I'm sure he'll throw some humor into it as well. So we are just going to let him tell you who he is, what he's all about, and then we'll jump into the actual podcast. So That's great. It away, Steve.
Thanks. Steve Sapato here, the most unfamous speaker in America, and I'm damn good at what I do. But here's what I want you to know is, people say, hey, you're a funny guy. All I want you to know is I have fun when I do stuff. I've had 36 different full-time jobs in my life, including being a professional speaker for 40 years. And what I want you to know is that I stay at these jobs until they're no longer fun for me. And then I move on to another job. A lot of people, want to stay for the retirement. They want to stay for this. Well, I'm old already, so it's too late for that. But what I want you to understand is I've been speaking around the country for 4 years. I started where I start all of my speakers, which is I tell them, you'll speak for food. You never speak for free, right? You got to speak for food. So I spent the first 2 years of my life going and talking in front of the small organizations, as long as they would serve dinner and then do a 20-minute speech, or do a 20-minute speech and then serve dinner. And you have to start somewhere, and you have to get your experience. And trust me, experience counts in this position, so that when you become a speaker, it's important that you know your sweet spot, where your strengths lie, where your weaknesses are, what you're going to be talking about. You have to find your passion to get in and speak to groups, right, Ann? And so I've been speaking 40 years around the United States. I've been a corporate trainer at companies, organizations. I've traveled around the United States teaching people how to be better managers, better communicators, how to run meetings better, how to run their businesses better. So it depends on what you want to do, but every position you take, you should have a great time with, have fun with, and that way you're going to help and motivate other people. And you're right. The worst thing in the world, isn't it, Ann, is to sit in a business meeting or a convention or anything and have somebody droning on and on. You're like, oh my God, please take that person off the stage. And all I want you to understand too is that it's really, I tell people all the time, because I've watched people, and it's really funny because they'll be boring as heck, and I'll talk to them later on. I'll go, how do you feel about being a speaker? And they go, I love it. It's great, and I'm pretty darn good at it. And you wanted to go, no, you're not. But here's what I want you to understand is most of the time when you go to speak, when you're done, all of your friends and acquaintances will go, good job, good job. Right. They don't ever say, you suck, you suck. Right. Always get a professional opinion. That's what I say. Thanks, Dan, for letting me jump in there.
I love that. One of the things I love is that you really talk about things that, do things that you're passionate about, do things that are fun. I have been so blessed throughout my life to always be working in a profession that I loved. I loved it until I didn't.
That's right. Then, that's right.
Yeah. And then very much like you, I had somebody say to me, I get asked all the time from some of my past businesses, why don't you do that again? Why don't you do that again? And I say, you know what? when I'm done with something, I am done. That's just the way I roll. So I like that because to me, business for me, marketing, business, all of that doesn't feel like work. I just love it. I live it. I breathe it. Drive my husband crazy with it. Drive my kids crazy with it. But
You
I
know,
just love it.
you said something that's interesting. You said when you're done with it, you're done. I've done relationship work many times throughout my life. People come to me and want information and advice because, of course, I've written a couple books on relationships. But it's always interesting to me that I've said in my relationships, when I'm done, when I reach that place, I'm done, I'm done. And you find a lot of people who go, I hate this relationship. They argue, they swear, they cheat, they do all the other stuff. And then they go back together. And I'm always amazed by that because the relationship, of course, success ratio drops by 50% every time. So if you already failed and you're going to try it again, odds are huge that you're going to fail again. So I love the fact that you say, when I'm done, I'm done. And that's the way it should be in our life. When we're done having fun, go do something else.
Yeah, I agree. I think from an employment standpoint, from a work standpoint. Now, I feel a little different about relationships. I've been married 39 years. We've been together 40. So I don't know that necessarily applies. Now, granted, if somebody leaves the relationship and all that, there are circumstances, but I think too many people give up too easy, and I think that doesn't. I'm not someone that gives up. That's
No, that's
that's
different.
probably a good and a bad thing, but
That's
I am
different.
not.
That's different.
Yeah.
Giving up is altogether different. Like I'm not going to give up on my relationship, my marriage, but I mean, whether you're dating somebody and you say, you know what, this relationship is over,
Mm.
right? Then you got to move on. And just like you
Move
say, in
on.
a job,
Mhm.
the one thing that I know is, I remember a talk by Zig Ziglar 30 years ago where he said some lady came up to him after one of his talks, and you know how positive Zig Ziglar was. Everything was, oh,
Mhm.
this positive, that positive. And
Top
he
of the
said, this
mountain.
lady, yeah, top of the mountain. And this one lady came up to him afterwards and said, I need help because I hate my job. I hate everything about my job. And he took a little extra time as he told this story and said, well, so you hate everything about your job? She was everything. And then he said, well, so you don't like getting paid? Well, I like getting paid. I like making
Right.
money. And then he went on to, and there were like 17 things that she didn't really hate
Right.
about her job. So that's important that you find the right attitude and
Mhm.
move on until you find the right thing. So attitude, we'll talk about that here today, is your attitude determines your altitude. I think that was
Mhm.
Zig saying. Your attitude
Mhm.
determines your altitude, or somebody else is saying. But it's really important that you keep a great attitude, especially in today's times when you're locked at home, or you got to wear a mask when you don't feel like wearing a
Mhm.
mask, or you got to stab yourself. Oh, we won't go there. Never mind. We're gonna go with, you have to find a place to be in a good mood, and that's
Yes.
important. Reach out, ask other people for help, ask people
Mhm.
to help you be in a good mood. I have people write to me all the time and they say, Steve, I enjoy your posts because they put me in a good mood. And I say, ooh, I bet you not all of them do that, because I got my opinions too. But if they all understand, and I tell people, if you know my heart, I'm not meant to offend anybody. So
Mhm.
look at it from a different point of view. If you think you're offended, look at it from a different point of view and just roll with the punches, because I'm never offended by anything that goes on, because truthfully, almost none of it matters. That's how I feel about it. But let's get back to, I take you way off the topic. I'm like a squirrel, I go way over here. So let's get back
I
to talking
said,
about
hey,
what we
I
need to
want
talk
this to
about.
be organic. I said, I want it to be organic. I want it to be fun. I want it to be entertaining and as well as give value. So I don't want a scripted podcast. I want something where people can get to know you. And I know you have so much to offer people and to share with people. But you know what? These are things that people need to hear too. People need to hear that, hey, your attitude has a lot to do with how happy you are, or how miserable you are. It has a lot to do with your success. Attitude is everything. And it's how you look at things. It's your perspective on things. And I always, when I'm coaching and consulting businesses, I always say, hey, let's not focus on the problem. Let's focus on the solution. The solution is what's going to move us forward. The problem is going to keep you stuck and miserable.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah. So, okay. So let's jump in. One of the things, so just kind of to lay a little bit of groundwork here, I am a huge believer in businesses elevating their brand, and especially professionals, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers. I work with people to help them elevate their brand. And speaking is a huge part of that. I have used speaking for, I don't even know how many years. I mean, I bet I've been speaking in front of people for 25 years. And even before that, when I was in school, I did speaking and wrote essays and was in contests and things like that. So I've always used that as a platform and a way to reach people, to share my message and for them to get to know me and all of those kinds of things. So I am a huge believer in speaking. And I think it is one of the fast growth. I'm always about helping people scale. So what's one of your, how can you get the one to many approach? And how can you get things done faster and leveraged? And that's sort of my whole mantra. So speaking to me is one of the fastest scale strategies or growth strategies to building a business, getting clients and getting, people to know you very, very quickly. So I love some of the tips that you're going to share that can help people be a better presenter. Because you know what? I think there are probably a lot of people out there that maybe haven't taken this step yet, or they think I'm not good at that. What do you say to someone that says, "Oh no, I can't get in front of people and speak. I'm not comfortable. I'm an introvert." What do you say to
I'm real big on it. I go, you probably can't then. Don't even worry about it. And that's what I say to them. And I go, because that's like somebody who tells me, hey, I'm not a salesperson. I can't sell. And I go, well, you sold me. Right?
I love it. I love it.
The point is, we can all, if you want to be, right now, there's a big difference. Want versus have to. There is a have to. Some people have to get out and speak. So if you're an author, let's say you're an author and you really want this message, whatever you wrote your book on, to get out to the masses. It's not going to happen with a book. Books, I forget the stat, but there's like 1,000 books every hour being self-published out there now. So they're all going out on Amazon, so tens of thousands every year. So the odds of your book being discovered and being published, by the big people, zero. So you have to go out and speak if you're going to get your message out. Now, I think most authors understand that. But the people who are working around their office, my question always goes back to when I work with people in offices. Are you happy with what's happening for you in your company? And most of the time, people say, not really. And then when you ask them, what they're looking for is more visibility. And nothing makes you more visible than being professional or to be confident when you're doing a talk in front of a group or organization. Now, I'm also going to qualify and say there's a lot of people who have great confidence who stand in front of that meeting and are boring as hell. And the reason you're boring is because you're usually talking about you or a very dry topic. Now, let's qualify. People say, you don't understand, Steve. I was working with an engineer one time, and he said, you don't understand, Steve. The stuff I cover is really boring. I go, no. I said, the stuff you cover is very dry. You're boring. Now, nobody wants to hear that they're boring, but that's the truth. The only reason the topic, I was a real estate appraiser for 21 years. And while I was doing all these other things, I could own this real estate company and have the guys do the most of the work on that particular company. But I had to go and attend in order to be certified. And you go to these meetings and these people would be boring. And you went, man, you could make this so much fun for people. Yep, you're going to have to cover certain information, but you tell a story. And I call it storytizing, right? It's not storytelling. There's a huge difference between storytelling and storytizing. This is something I help you do. I will help you accomplish that. About 20% of the great speakers, Ann being one of them, are really good at storytizing, which simply means you're telling your story, but you're using their memories and their emotions. Once you have mastered that craft, people in your audience will be magnetized, right? They'll be drawn to you. And if you're trying to market something, you're trying to sell yourself, you're trying to be more visible, it's you making connectivity with your group that's going to change your whole life. And it will change your life, right, Ann?
It does. It absolutely does. And, you talk about storytizing. So I want to dive into that just a little bit more because that's such a huge piece. I know I love to bring in stories that relate to what I'm speaking about, right? To share, even sharing experiences or sharing a client story or whatever. I love to do that. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Well, think about when you go to a party, and there's always one or two people at the parties who tell great stories, and everybody surrounds them and listens to their stories, and they're excited and they're dynamic, and they're talking about this, and they're animated, doing all this stuff. But and that might be strictly about them. Hey, I had a car accident, the car with this, and we did that. And then somebody else wants to jump in and go, I was just in a car. See, we all can jump in at those party things to make it a great experience. When you're on stage or in front of a group, you have to make your story about them. And the way you do that is by simply taking out all the I, me's, and my's. I, me, my is out of that. And you tell your story using them. And you say, have you guys, I love this little quick example. Have you ever gone to I went to the store the other day, and I got in my car and I opened the garage and I drove to the store and I parked in the parking lot. So you're already bored. Ann's like, Steve, hello. And what I want you to know is that story is about me. Now, it's a real mundane story, but imagine if I took that same story and said, you guys had to drive to the store yet? In this lockdown? Everybody's like, yeah. You go, and have you ever had have you ever had your car door, your car garage door not open? And people go, oh man, long time ago. I don't want to go through that again. You go, and so once you get out of your garage and you get down to the supermarket, do you look at the people coming in? Do you check and see if they're all wearing masks, or if they're not wearing masks, or do I have to wear a mask? What's that all about, right? And so then you can tell and see I'm involving you. It's the same story, but a lot less boring because I'm talking about you.
I love that. That is brilliant. That is such a gold nugget. I have to say, I probably haven't done that the way I need to do that. Yeah, well, I am learning here.
And some people are great storytellers. Don't misunderstand. You can go someplace, and the guy, a comedian is almost always a great storyteller. If you like comedy clubs, I love comedy clubs. You can learn so much from watching a comedian, from relating to the audience to telling a story. And some of them are great at telling stories because they tell stories that you and I can relate to, right? Have you ever, like I told a little 15-minute deal there, but I said, have you ever emailed something? I got a recipe the other day, and it was for chili, and I went, oh, it's it wasn't just chili, it was the world's best chili. So I said, I'm going to send it to my wife. She makes great chili, right? I think she'd love this recipe. So I sent it to my wife, and as soon as she got it, I get a response, and it says, I thought you liked my chili. That's not what I meant. See, so if I tell the story correctly, everybody can relate to that. We've all sent an email that got the wrong response. Right? So if you tell a story, even about you, that includes everybody else. But I tell people to be real cautious because it's a lot easier to learn how to be an amazing storyteller that will get you paid speaking gigs, that will get you on stages because people want to hear you speak. And that's what it's all about, right?
I love that. So that's great.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in here because I said I had a couple of things. When you become a speaker who's going to be trying to market something, whether it's yourself, whether it's a product, so whether you're in sales or if you're in the office trying to accomplish something, you're always looking to find your audience's pain. So let's say you were just going to be giving a meeting. You might start off by knowing what do they have to learn. So I have to teach my 12 people. I'm a manager and I have to teach my 12 people about this topic. And so you have to find out. So people always want to know, they want more money, they want more clients, they want more respect, they want more recognition, they want more visibility, they want more opportunity. Once you find out what your audience wants, it makes it a lot easier for you then to put your connections together. And that's what it's all about, connections. What is it? How is that thing goes, Ann? It's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
How much you care. Right.
Yeah,
right.
See?
That's true. Yeah, can I jump in here and ask you a couple of questions? Tough. I'm going to do it anyway. Okay.
Yeah, see, she thinks she's my wife. What is that all about? My wife says the same thing. Can I ask you a question? I go, no. And she keeps talking.
And my husband would say the same thing. So, okay. So quick question. So one of the things you were talking about was paid speaking. And and you mentioned at the very beginning of this, hey, you just need to start doing it, right? You just need to start getting in front of people and talking to people and do it for food. a lot of people don't really realize that. I know for me, I haven't been a professionally paid speaker. You know, there have been a few times that, but that's has never been really my drive for speaking. I love to speak because I love to build my business and get clients, and I get clients that way. So for me, that has always been the great way that I've been able to monetize speaking, and I have found it to be extremely lucrative to do that, as opposed to paid speaking. So to my point, it doesn't matter whether you're paid or whether you're doing it for free. If you're in front of the right audience, it can monetize your business and grow your business, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the, imagine that you're an attorney, or imagine, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I will tell you. Investment people, like Edward Jones is one of my
Ooh, it's
people, right?
storming.
And so, is it storming there?
It's storming here. I was just looking. I
Ooh.
heard thunder. I'm like, oh,
Where
getting a
where do
storm.
you live?
I'm in Missouri. In Missouri.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad I'm in Tampa then, because it's a really nice sunny day here. 88 degrees, but the humidity is
We've
way
had
up.
great weather, but yes, it's storming right now. So,
Yeah. Well,
anyways,
so imagine, yeah. So imagine, right, that you are looking for people who you're going to invest their money for. Like she
mhm,
said, first of all, you have to be in front of the right audience. So if I'm
right.
going in front of
That's the
homeless
key.
people, I'm probably beating myself to death.
Mhm,
But they do free talks all the time looking for clients. So they go in front of all kinds of people, all kinds of organizations to give a free talk on investing. If you're boring, guess what people are going to do? Oh man, I don't think I could work with that person at all. But if you're a great storyteller, they're going to get connected to you. They're going to feel comfortable with you, and they're going to go, man, I need to get with that person right after this talk and sit down with them. So if you're looking at monetizing your business, imagine that you're just a restaurateur, because that's the word. How can you say, Steve? How could a restaurant person, talk and bring business in? Well, go to any place, and when they talk, you can get up and talk about customer service. You can get up and talk
mhm.
about how to prepare great food. You can talk about, hey, terrible customer service, and how you've watched things like that happen, because we've all experienced it. So your stories would, like, we'd all go, oh my God, yeah, I got stories for you on that.
You can even
And then,
show pictures of food because that will make
yeah,
people come in.
that's right. And that's what you would do. Because let's
Mhm,
face it, one of the things I talk about when we talk about connecting is your solution, your experience, right?
mhm,
So I talk about, matter of fact, I had find their pain, get a connection. You got your thought reversal process. You got solutions with your experience. So you can say, if you've ever had a bad taco, right? You don't want to go there again. Our tacos are made with blah, blah, blah. And you take 20 seconds to talk about how your tacos are so amazing that the people's mouths start to water.
mhm,
I've watched lots of people over the years, and again, for 40 years, the professionals who got on stage and would start to talk to a group and then would take big sips of water, right? Sips of water throughout. And of course, none of the people in the audience can get up and go for water. So he goes, this water is so good. And then he's pushing that so that they start to go, he's 15 minutes in. He says, now, how many of you are really thirsty now? And of course, a bunch of hands go up, because he said, I set that in motion by drinking and talking about how good the water was, which made you thirsty. So you can do all those things with your experience if you know how to maneuver yourself into those situations. And that's critical to your success, is knowing how to connect your audience. So when we talk about monetized speaking, oh, for goodness sakes, matter of fact, there's lots of speakers who go to speaking groups just to sell their program. They'll actually, we call it pay to play. So I was talking with somebody before the COVID thing hit, and they were going down here to Orlando to there were going to be 2,000 people in the audience, is what they were told. And they paid $3,000 to go speak in front of 2,000 people. Well, if their cheapest program that they were selling was 5,000, out of those 2,000 people, all they had to do was persuade 2 or 3 people to buy their program. They easily paid for what they were doing. They made $10,000, $15,000. But even better, if you are looking at working from home, you're looking at doing stuff, your ability to speak, your ability to monetize your business is vital to your success. The more they trust you, the more they like you. Because imagine if I'm always sitting here doing this. Yep, speaking's great. Speaking's fun. Yep, you guys ought to
right.
be speakers. right?
And by the way, he just dropped a value bomb there. What he is talking about applies online and offline. You have to get people to know, like, and trust you, right? Whether you're online or whether you're offline, it's the same principles and the same foundation. So yeah, what he's sharing will work in both places, because there may be some people sitting there saying, well, I just do Facebook Lives. That's my means of speaking. Hey, I do well with Facebook Lives, but
Well,
I love the physical, getting in front of people and having that connection. There's just something special about that.
if
So,
if you want to talk, like I teach people. Matter of fact, my wife is with a corporation, and I teach people how to be virtual presenters. Okay, it's a skill. It's something you have to be able to do. So let me give you. I've watched way too many Facebook Lives, and I've seen professionals. I could tell you about 5 names right now where I watch them. They push the live button and they go, I think I'm live.
well,
And
it
then
is a
it's
whole
like,
different animal with the
well,
whole technology
and,
thing.
and
Yeah.
then they go, oh, hi, Barb. Hi, Steve. Hi, Kevin. What are you doing? We don't care about Barb and Steve and Kevin, right? And then they dork around going, well, I want to make sure everybody's here. We don't care if everybody's here. If you said you were going live at 4 o'clock, go live at 4 o'clock. If you said I'm going live at 5:10, go live at 5:10 and start talking about what you told us you were talking about. It's vital. Facebook Lives are famous for being the horrible first 5 or 10 minutes, so people stop showing up. They'll show up 12, 15 minutes in and hope that you have something to say by then. So it's
That's gold,
really
everybody.
it's
Probably
really important
guilty
that you
of that too.
start and jump right in. I don't care if you
Yeah.
take, like we did. We jumped in and then we took a whole detour on all kinds of different ideas, and then we come back to them. People will hang around for your nuggets, but they won't stay if you're boring in the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, that is a great point. I think I'm probably not as bad about doing that anymore, because you want to connect with your audience, right? But I think when I first started doing Facebook Lives, I was probably super guilty of that, because I was taught you have to connect with them. And so you have to, you need to let them know, hey, I'm happy you're here. And, you say hi and all of those things. But I think what you just said is gold, because honestly, I don't like watching Facebook Lives like that. So, so why did
Well,
I do that?
it's meetings. If you think about, you go to a company, what's the worst thing about going to a meeting is the meeting's supposed to start at 3 o'clock, and not everybody, most of the people show up at 3 o'clock, and then we're waiting for the boss, right? The boss shows up 5 minutes late. We're like, hey, we're supposed to be here at 3 o'clock. Why isn't the boss? And then the boss says, well, Tom's not here yet, so we're going to wait for Tom. You're like, were we starting this meeting or what? And then the meeting's supposed to end at 3:30, and it's going to go to 3:40, 3:50, 4 o'clock. And you're like, I'm a nutball for when I teach corporations. You start the meeting on time and you end the meeting on time. And you'll need 4 people to help you do that typically. Somebody to keep you on track, somebody who's going to be the timekeeper, somebody who's going to be the moderator. So if you've got 3 different people speaking, they each get 7 minutes. The moderator has to go, okay, you got 2 minutes left of your 7. And then at 7 minutes, they're done. And when people are used to following those rules, you accomplish so much. It's just astounding. And that's true with your Facebook Live, whether you're talking about that or whether you're talking to a group. If you're blessed enough to get a spot in one of these summits where they do a 15-minute speech or talk by somebody, and then they have breakout sessions, make sure that you've got something really valuable to say in that 15 minutes. Boy, you got to jump in. You got all kinds of times you can ask questions or answer this, but that 15 minutes has to be wonderful.
Maximize that opportunity, right?
That's right.
I love it. Oh gosh, I just had a question for you, and then it just kind of left my brain. That happens. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I don't know if it's my age or what it is.
The only time that doesn't happen, the only time that I walk into a room and I know exactly what I'm going to do is the bathroom. I always know what I'm going to do when I go to the bathroom.
Out on that one. Okay.
That's right. Go in the living room, go in the kitchen.
What I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So one of the things that we when we were putting information out about this live, is we talked about finding your superpower, your speaker superpower. Talk a little bit about that. What do you mean by that? Because I help people find their sweet spot, their expertise, right? So we're talking, really their competitive edge. So we're kind of talking about the same thing, but from a speaker standpoint.
Your superpower is what you're passionate about. You might have 2 or 3 things that you're passionate about. I know that when I start a new speaker, I always say I'm going to talk, break you in on your significant, sure, I just drew a blank on it, on your anyway, your best talk, whatever you're going to be speaking
Signature
on.
talk. Your signature
Signature
talk.
talk. That's right.
Mhm.
So we want you to get your and I always start them with one signature talk. 3
Mhm.
months down the road, we'll talk about 2 and 3, because you should have at least 3, no more than 5 signature talks so that you can talk to all kinds of organizations and groups. But the first one should be what you're most passionate about. What do you want to help people do? What do you want to try and do? How do you want to change a corporation or companies? All these things are your signature talk. Are you trying to convince people that alcohol is bad for them? You can't start off by saying, hey, by the way, alcohol is bad for you, because everybody's going to go, shut off. You're gone.
Mhm.
Alcohol is the
You're
best
out of
thing
here.
ever. Yeah, that's right. And so you always have to approach from a different perspective. Don't always tell people your agenda. As a matter of fact, very seldom tell them your agenda. But you have to have a signature talk that you're most passionate about, that's going to fire you up. And I can take 10 different ways to talk about a signature talk, which is about self-improvement, right?
Mhm.
And how do you want to do that? You want to talk for 15 minutes on self-improvement? You want to talk an hour and a half on self-improvement? All these things break into what you want to do. And that's the superpower that you should have. What are you most passionate about? Now, I will qualify and say, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean it's something else that people want to listen to.
Mhm.
So you do need a coach. You need somebody who's out there who can say, okay, I don't know if I'd take that direction or not. I had somebody that I was working with last year, and they had had a near-death experience when they were in their 20s. Now they're in their 50s. They're trying to write a book about this near-death experience. And I went, well, what are you trying to accomplish with this? And they went, I want them to know that even if they near-death experience, they can overcome and they can become other things. I said, okay, great. So we're going to talk about the overcoming and how to get inner strength.
Mhm.
And yet her whole talk was about her near-death experience.
Mhm.
And as much as I tried to push her away from the I, me, my, which we talked about earlier, she always wanted to say, but it's my story, Steve. It's
Mhm.
mine. And I went, I know, but you can't tell it like that, because no offense meant, uh, people don't care if you almost
Mhm.
died. That's a sad fact, but it's the way it is. So you have to know that what you're passionate about has to be crafted into something that other people want to listen to. That's the superpower.
I love that. That is amazing. Well, I just want I first of all, Steve, thanks so much for being on here. But I want to share with everyone that Steve and I are actually going to be teaming up and doing some things together, because as I help people really scale their business, speaking and elevating their brand, like I talked about, using a more leveraged way to get in front of people, to be seen, to become known, to be looked at as the expert. Those are all things that I help people do. Steve and I have found a way that we would like to team up, and we're going to be offering a free masterclass that's going to be a 90-minute masterclass, and we're going to be offering that in my group for coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, industry experts, author speakers, basically anyone who wants to scale with high ticket. Because speaking, if you want high ticket clients, if you want to sell premium services, it doesn't matter if you are a whatever company. If you want to sell premium services, if you want to acquire premium clients, high ticket clients, you have got to be the person at the front of the room, right?
You absolutely have to. It's, you know what, finding high ticket clients now, a lot of people say are almost impossible. And yet I talk to people every day who say, hey, I'm bringing in clients who pay this much money. I'm bringing in clients
Mhm.
who pay that much money. And way back when it was like, wait, how are you doing that? Right? How did you find those people? Where did you go to find? And that's all part of the process
They find
of how
you.
did you do it? Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
When you are the expert,
Mhm.
speaking, writing, being seen puts you in that place to be seen as the expert, and people reach out to you. All right.
Yes.
They reach out to you and they say, hey, I need to become a great speaker. I need to become a great presenter.
Mhm.
I need. And what we're talking about now is learning how to find the high ticket items, high ticket people who will buy your programs and who you can help change their lives. And that's
That's
important.
it. That's exactly, well, that's what we're selling, right? I'm selling transformation in people's businesses, but the thing is, it's not really their business, even though that's what I'm helping them with. What's it really doing? It's changing their life. It's completely changing their life. It's changing their family's life. That's what I'm really helping people do. Their business is just the means that we're using to be able to do that.
You know what? One of the things that I'm a nutball on here is education. I think we need to revamp our entire education system. But it's also, somebody was on one of the shows, news shows or something, and they were talking about culture. And one of the things that's holding people back is the culture. And I don't care who you are, but if your grandmother was on welfare and your mother was on welfare, you're probably going to be on welfare. So what you have to look at is, what does it take to move? Now, we know it changes, because look at Ocasio-Cortez, or whatever her name is, right? She was a waitress, and now she's a member of the Senate. Who you hang with changes your life. So when you understand that, it's not just who you hang with, right? Because you say, well, I'm not going to give up my friend, Steve. Not asking you to do that. We're going to ask you to be reading certain books. We're going to give you information to read. We're going to give you opportunities to grow. And that's what's going to change you. You want to make a lot more money and help a lot more people, then you have to learn how to do that. And that comes through growth. Let me give you an example. I've got something that I want to offer to you if you're listening in. I've got this thing that I prepared, right? And it's all about finding your pain, your connection, your thought reversal, your solution. But this program, this little teeny program, if you become a speaker, will help you change. So I want you to write more to the number 66866. You got that? More. So the message is more, and type it in and send it to 66866.
You give me that, and then I'll make sure it's posted with the video.
Yeah.
With this live.
All I want you to do is, that's a little teeny program that costs this much money. And yet, in front of the right audience, it will change your business. Because if you've got something to say, something to do, a free offer you want to make, that's what you need to do. And it's important that you start learning. And the reason I brought it up is because there's so many things that, gosh, I've been working with my coach, and she says, well, how about this? And have you done that? Let me give you an example. She was talking about a book. Now, I've got several books out. This is the first book coach that I've ever looked at who said, at the end of every chapter, you should have a QR code. See, I thought QR codes went away. I said, but I haven't used a QR code in forever. She said, well,
that's interesting.
Well, she said, imagine, Steve. So I've got a relationship book out. Haven't put it out there in 10 years. She said, well, we need to redo it so that this would work. And she said, at the end of every chapter where you're trying to get people to listen to this or hear that or do that, a QR code where when they scan it, it takes them to a video of you talking about that chapter and giving them more insight.
Wow.
What a great idea.
Here's the best thing. You paid for that advice and we're getting it for free.
But I was like, who even thought of that? What a great idea that after every chapter they get now. And not most importantly is, now you're becoming seen by them every chapter. You're now the person that they want to go to, they want to talk to, they want to meet.
It makes the book come to life, doesn't it? It really does.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh my gosh, that is super brilliant. Well, first of all, I will post the link so you can get that from Steve. And Steve, if people are in the private Facebook group, would you post those in there for them so they could download those?
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And that's also in the private Facebook group is where Steve and I are going to be doing the 90-minute masterclass. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll be posting more about that. But you need to get into that group because we won't be doing everything on our profile pages, right? It's going to be in a private group. So if you are interested in doing that, first of all, I'm so excited to get Steve's sheets here that he's sharing. And I have learned on this podcast as well, which has been so great, but I'm super excited to team up with him and do some cool things together. He's brilliant. I've been, we've known each other. I don't even really know how many years. It's been
3 or 4, I bet.
Quite a few. Yeah, it's been a few years. But, I just get a kick out of his post every day on Facebook and just his humor and just his down to earth personality, and those are the people I tend to gravitate to, the people who want to be leaders, but they're so easygoing and easy to get along with. And so I'm excited. So I hope you guys will join us. Hope you got, I mean, there is just massive value here, and we have not even scratched the surface, have we, Steve? There's so much.
Just scratching, and that's right. There's so much to learn.
Yes.
So everybody has an idea that can help other people. So you'll be teaching us along the way, but we want to give you as much information, as much help, as much support, and we want to help you become so successful that you'll look back and go, "This was the life changer."
Yes, that's why we're in this. I mean, it's not just for ourselves. You know, I love, love, love making a difference in other people's lives, and I know you do as well.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening to this not inside of Ann's group, I want you to go follow her on her Facebook page, because she has some wonderful things to say all the time. Great posts, great information, because she posts a lot about business. And, you know, a lot of my stuff is more about the Three Stooges or something, you know, but hers will really help your life and change you too. So again, surround yourself with the right people. And Ann is one of those people. She's smart. She's obviously pretty, and she has so much going on that she can help you with. And that's going to be important for you in your growth. So whether you're a young person or an old person, it's one of those deals where we can all learn. And the sooner you start, which is right now, you should get into this group right now and get it done. It's vital to your success. After all, what have you been waiting for up to now, right?
Exactly. Well, you're leaving money on the table. That's all I can say. And you're not touching people. You're not reaching people. And speaking is one of the best ways to do that. So, we have the upcoming presentation that will be coming up in a couple of weeks. Get into the group, because we're bringing lives, and I'm bringing podcast guests and everything in there every week. So a lot going on. And Steve is going to post his giveaway in there as well, but you can also reach out to him, and we'll put the link for that too. So Steve, thank you. This was great. This was fun.
It was great.
And I am looking forward to connecting with you and doing our other things together. So thanks so much for being on and dropping the value that you did. So.
My pleasure, Ann. Been great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you're watching the replay, please put #replay. And I will also post the links for the group and for Steve's giveaway. I'll post those with the video as well. And definitely connect with Steve too. You will just enjoy following him on Facebook, and he's a fun person. So connect with him as well. And he's just brilliant. And I know he's got some business pages and things like that too, where he's always dropping value. So thanks for being on, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties and hopping on here a few minutes later, going against what you said. Start the meeting on time.
You know, there are technical difficulties that happen. They happen, right?
There are. And here's the thing. We're gonna really hope and pray this even broadcasted, right?
That's right.
That's right. Might just be recording the video here.
In case you guys didn't know, there are things. We're on a thing called StreamYard. So I don't know if you'll see that when we actually broadcast it. But StreamYard has a lot of little advantages that I'll be glad to talk to you about at some point in time that other venues maybe don't have, or different opportunities. So I really like StreamYard myself for things that are simple that I get. If you're a real technical person, you might like Zoom better. But for the simple stuff, when I'm doing a quick podcast, I love StreamYard. So you might look into that too.
Yeah, well, this was my first time using it. So other than being on someone else's, I've been on other people's, but this is my first time using it. So we'll see how it all turns out. We'll make it work somehow. It recorded. Right. So somewhere we've got a recording. So, all right, Steve, Thank you so much. Again, Steve Sapato, thanks for being here. And look forward to just connecting with you guys, bringing you massive value. Again, this is the Strategic Edge podcast. You guys have an amazing day. God bless you all. Bye-bye.